Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tesla Life, show number 89, March the 13th, 2019. Already and still. So,
what?
Okay. What? Hasn't changed dates on us? No, it hasn't. It's the same date.
Still.
And we have got a ton of news tonight. But before we get to that, let's go speak to our other panelists. Show co-host Mr. Russell Frost in sunny but rainy California.
It's actually sunny today, mid 60s, partly cloudy, but nonetheless, it is not currently precipitating. So big San Diego victory. Yeah. Word is, and not to talk too much about the weather, we might get to 75 this week.
Oh, yeah, wow. Go to hell.
Yeah. Did I tell you? I opened my front door. There's no snow on them.
What?
None. Very good. Very good. We're all quite happy to hear that San Diego has no snow.
I was concerned there for a minute.
Yes, we were all concerned.
You're right.
Next, our man in green in the Chicago, Illinois area, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. I got my St. Patrick's Day. We are, it looks like on Thursday, we might get up to 60 degrees Fahrenheit here in Chicago. Of course, it'll be raining the whole time, but I'll take what I can get.
Very good. Very good. And last but certainly not least, from South Carolina, Mr. Casey Green, who obviously is for St. Patrick's Day all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
So right now it is 70 degrees. There's a thick yellow dust of everything from the pine pollen, and I just finished washing the square acre that is known as my Model X by hand.
So you get a lot of that yellow pollen that falls from the trees.
When it rains, it looks like this yellow sludge is going down everywhere.
Wow.
It's gross.
Yeah.
It's raining mustard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except super abrasive and ubiquitous.
Yes.
That's one of the things I don't miss about Florida. Is literally just like,
where did it come from?
what? And I'm not even allergic, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
and in Tachikoma, there, she's a black car, so she turns yellow.
Yeah, that's you get a color change every time it rains. That's
great.
That's great. Exactly. Well, certainly the week has been full of news, as it was last week. And let's get right to it. Casey has got a story for us about V3 for Tesla Supercharging.
So the Tesla Supercharger version 3 has finally arrived. Right now it's in beta, but this morning we learned that there is the Fremont Design Center. Was it Fremont Design? The Design Center. It is getting its own installation of the V3 superchargers under the solar canopy. So each cabinet is 1 megawatt versus the previous cabinet was, what, 250? No, it wasn't. It was 135 in the US or in Germany and 120 in the US. Unless it was an urban supercharger, then it was actually about 140 and change. But the big news here is we're no longer going to be splitting a charge. The cables are going to be thinner. You'll still be sharing a charge. Instead of A and B, you'll be A, B, C, and D. But it doesn't matter because you're going to get all you can get. The cars will pre-cool if your navigation is set up to navigate either to or through the supercharger network. Pre-cool and preheat, depending on what you need to take the maximum charge. And this will go back all the way to cars built in 2012. Obviously, Model 3 is what they designed it for at the moment, and they'll charge at an effective rate of 1,000 miles an hour.
For how long?
For a couple minutes.
Yeah.
15 minutes.
fire. Yeah.
15 minutes will be enough to get
extremely impressive to say it that way, but it's a little bit less than that. Yeah.
15 minutes will be enough to get you to the next station, and 0-ish to 80% will be in about 30 minutes or less, instead of 40 to 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it also was unveiled that these V3s are not going to retrofit into the V2s at all.
Correct.
These
The
are going to be
right.
separate installs.
Right. So if
separate stations, possibly even.
correct. So if the V2s are in a super high traffic area, they may get upgraded. What they'll do is just do a pull and replace. But what they intend to do is just put them in new locations. And for the moment, you can only do them on Model 3s with the early access program. And the V2 network is going to get an upgrade to 140-ish. What do you say? 142, 144 across the board. So the station's going to get a firmware update. Your car will get a firmware update, and it'll still do the preconditioning on the way to the stations. So even those older stations will see an 18% increase if nothing changes other than the firmware on the station. And if your car is participating, you'll see up to 25% increase in charge speeds. And the other ultimate goal of the V3 is that the total charge time will be cut in half. So if you normally spend 30 minutes, you'll be spending 15. If you do 15, you'll be 7.5 and out of there.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
And that leads into what I was going to ask about, older model Teslas. And I guess, if starting from today, if we call them legacy, if we want to call them legacy systems, were they, I know, we had talked about this a long, long time ago about forward-looking manufacturing. But I just want to make it clear for people listening, were the early Teslas built with this in mind?
The early Teslas were built with battery swap in mind, not quicker supercharging. So what they'll do is they'll do the preconditioning, and they'll be able to hold their maximum rate, which is unique per car, especially if it had a 90 kilowatt hour battery pack. It'll hold whatever its maximum is for longer before it has to ramp it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So there's this new, and there's no real release about how many they're going to be or what the installation rates are. There's no talk about that, right? It's
right.
The actual event was held in Fremont. Was that correct?
Correct. Just outside Fremont. It was
Just
at
outside
the beta station.
Okay, so it was in kind of a hidden spot, apparently, at a current supercharger that they had these four.
It was all new.
Okay, so it was a new section. Okay, so and you had to have an invite to go. I don't know if that's still the case right now. Do you know if it's still fenced off or
limited hours? But if you have early access firmware, your car will be able to make use of it.
Right. So all Model 3s are capable once they get an update, and S and X's
in the future
will be upgraded by software in the future.
Correct.
Yeah. Now we know that Tesla could pretty much like program and control like every function of the car. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have the special invitation to participate, do they have it controlled that your car just like can't even physically approach the charger? Like try to make the turn.
It breaks down right in the driveway. Yeah.
It'll just be unauthorized if you manage to find it and plug in, and it won't show up on your map. So
it actually backs you up onto a steel post at 60 miles an hour, just to make the point that you shouldn't be there.
And the front license plate changes to "nice try."
Exactly.
Yes. So before we move on, I want to speculate on this. So since the cabinets are megawatt cabinets, will we see just a single handle coming off of it for the semi supercharger or the semi's megacharger?
Interesting thought.
Yeah.
But certainly they're going to need a different type of parking arrangement.
Oh, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
So they'll be spread out, or it'll be a different configuration for sure.
Yeah, but they like to share parts. I mean, the semis we see have Model 3 door handles turned around backwards.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't the plan originally for a whole different set of superchargers to be built?
Oh, yes. Yeah. But this way they can share the back end equipment because
yeah,
they just need one per truck.
Yeah, I mean, economies of scale, that makes perfect sense. Yeah,
It
but
does.
obviously physical charging locations, probably not efficious, right?
they're just gonna back into the spot.
No matter who's there.
Yes.
Push the 48-foot trailer into the adjacent lot as you fill up. Yes.
Currently, the beta trucks do that. They have a blocker that comes through and reserves anywhere from 4 to 8 stalls and What's this special
Yeah,
device there?
actually, our fellow panelist Evan, who's not here tonight, he had spotted one in his neck of the woods, and it was he saw the fabled black box that 4 superchargers would plug into with extension cables, and then plug into the actual truck.
Yeah.
So, and then that truck came along. In this case, he had mentioned blocked off 4 or 6 stalls as it was charging.
Yep.
Wow,
That's pretty cool stuff.
there you
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next, this is something that we've talked about on this show many times.
Mhm.
The German government requested that Tesla remove the pricing that related to its baked-in gas savings on its website recently. They felt that it was a bit misleading, and they had wanted Tesla to remove that to make it easier for consumers to know exactly what the price was without guessing or looking at possible gas savings that may or may not apply to them specifically.
Just a little misleading.
And Tesla did comply recently, and I don't know if it's been removed yet, but they have agreed they will remove them. And at this point, I'd like to say to Tesla, remove them worldwide, because it just does not make any sense to bake in those savings. It's fine to show them on the page, maybe in smaller print or off to the side, but certainly it does not make sense to assume that I have a certain style of car that burns X amount of gallons per mile or kilometers, the case may be.
Yeah, wasn't it in the Volt? Was one of the first cars I saw that you could go to the site, you could pull it up, it gave you the price, and then it would say, calculate your savings. On average, how many miles do you drive? On average, what's the duration of each of your trips? Yeah. And based on these calculations, we think you'll save approximately this much. Yeah. And it was after the fact. It is extremely misleading to go to Tesla's front page and see a $24,500 Model 3.
We've been streaming this at them since 2012, and they've on again, off again with this on their webpage, depending on how shady they wanted to be with it, and it just never left a good image.
I wonder why.
Makes the car look cheaper. It was very pricey.
So they were taking any opportunity they could to make the car appear cheaper than it actually is,
which is crazy because $35,000 is a decent price.
Well, keep in mind, Tony, this started when cars were what? The bottom price was $70,000.
That's true.
Well, they started back when they were only doing Founder Series Model S's, so they were what, 120?
Yeah.
Okay, so even
even worse. Yeah.
Okay, but they have moved on. So you're right. With a car at a base now of $35,000 as of last week, then I think they could remove it. It would be okay.
Yeah. So I got an update here. This just in from Derek. Per the article, it said they had until March 20th, and Derek just said on the German site it has been removed.
Good. Very good. Thanks for the update, Derek.
I guess they respect the German legislature more than the SEC.
Well, he respects judges.
You got that one in really good, Russell.
I've been waiting I've been waiting 15 minutes for that.
15 whole minutes. Very good. Very good. Our next story is a little bit of a follow-up from a story that we had a number of weeks ago. And it was about the Fremont Police Department. They had purchased a used Model S, I believe 85, P85, and had put it through a transformation and made it into a patrol car. And what happened was that this car, actually, I've got a photo.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring up a picture.
I can just,
not working.
Share that right here.
There you go.
Uh-oh.
So, man, good job. It's got the push bar on it, the lights, City of Fremont Police. And recently, just this past weekend, they took the car and put it on display at the Fremont Library to allow the public to check it out in real life, see what the car looks like inside and out. And again, here's the other shocking thing that comes from this story we mentioned previously. The car is guesstimated to be able to save about $30,000 in gasoline per year. So
That's
it
before
isn't going to take much time to recoup the cost of the car when you're burning $30,000 in gasoline throughout a year.
Right.
And you've got brake pads and maintenances, and it's going to save them a lot of money.
I wonder if you know what, we know this is a used one.
Yep.
So it probably this vehicle probably has
Unlimited.
unlimited supercharging. You see where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I see what kind those sly devils at the city of Fremont. They're gonna supercharge this bastard and take the 30K. And why shouldn't they?
It's using the tax dollars wisely. Although
it is part of the rules, right? Based on
absolutely.
Yeah. And you got to they'll go and they'll, I don't know, chill out, rest, whatever, at the supercharger, and then go out and patrol some more, and go to the next one. And yeah, I think it would be awesome to see, and I think we all agree it would be awesome to see a lot more of these.
they could take all of the savings from maintenance and fuel and just keep rolling them until they've snowballed all their cars out into EVs, and then put that money somewhere else in the municipality.
Right.
Absolutely. And save the city a ton of money until Tesla figures out that every municipality is charging all their cars on their dime. And then the proverbial whatever will hit the fan, I'm sure.
Right. And then what? Elon's going to bring down the hammer on the police.
Well, if they can't stop Tesla, I mean, it's going to be a lot harder to stop the police. They've got guns.
Yeah. He's going to stop them with not a bulletproof vest.
Yeah, you don't want to try that.
Oh, that was beautiful, Tony. That was beautiful.
Excellent segue. Excellent segue.
Wow.
We've got our next story that Tony's probably got a few more jokes on this as well. So.
Yeah, well, so everybody remembers the Alien Dreadnought. Not from the most recent science fiction movie you've been watching, but Elon's code name for the machine that makes the machine was the Alien Dreadnought. And I got a picture here. I'm gonna show you right there. So as you can see, this is a fully automated system, and they're putting in some seats going in sideways, and this is supposed to be the machine that builds the machine. Well, down here.
Version 0.01.
Yeah, so that's version 1. And Elon says that with the Model Y, they've worked out some kinks, and it's going to be a lot, even more machine that builds the machine. And we don't have an official picture yet, but I'm kind of imagining something like this.
Version 0.02.
Version 2 is this is why they've been laying off so many people, is they're just going to manufacture them.
Are those people that are laid off or something else? Because I'm not real clear.
Yeah, they're going to replace them with droids. But
so are you saying they've hired back Flufferbot?
Yeah, Flufferbot to keep the droids happy. Yeah. So anyway, let's get back here. Ryan Codenstedt, who's the CEO of Cape Analytics, was talking about the manufacturing and the robotics. Previously, one of the problems that they were having had to do with what they called the robot vision, computer vision. So, I'm sure Elon likes to think that if you have robots doing all the work, that everything's going to be exactly the same. So your tolerance doesn't have to be as wide. But that's not what they found. What they found was bolts would come in different orientation, and sometimes things would be just off enough that the next robot in line wasn't really sure how to handle the situation. And so what Codenstedt has argued is that computer vision has progressed significantly in recent years, according to the article in Teslarati. So he thinks that the Alien Dreadnought factory might be more of a reality for the Model Y than it has been for the Model 3. So who knows? You've been holding it in, haven't you, Russell?
I think that certainly they will improve upon things. They're not going to get to a fully automated machine. There's no way. But they have identified some different processes that they could handle in a better way based on their experience with the Model 3. And certainly they're going to employ some of those things into the new line for the Model Y and try to improve in those areas that they've identified. So I don't think by the stretch of the imagination at all that they will be into a fully automated system, but they will take pieces of it and make it better and be able to automate some current processes that are slower. I'm sure of that.
So one might say this is hubris in engineering?
I think it is. I mean, I really do. And you know what the thing is I was reading the article and they were talking about automation and fully automation. I was tying it straight into autopilot, right? You know, there's like level 1, level 2, and all the way up to level 5.
And then 60 miles an hour right into the abutment.
Oh, gee. But I was thinking that, a lot of manufacturing is, I don't know what you'd say, level 1, level 2, that it's there to assist the humans. Level 3 does some work, but humans have to always be paying attention. And he's really trying to push to get to level 5. And we know they've got some really smart people doing the AI and doing the.
Actually, the last smart person just resigned.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm an optimist, I guess. I would like to see this become more of a reality, just to help out Tesla, I guess, and get more EVs out there and help the manufacturing.
I think the thing that scares me about this is that it proves the idea that Tesla management learns very little.
Well, they're from a tech mindset. They get to learn all the mistakes over again.
Yeah, and over again and over again.
Well, I mean, stuff that the industry has already learned. They get.
Yeah, they're not taking. They're not
even learning their own lesson. That like just a few months ago, the genius behind the alien dreadnought works so fast it can work in pitch dark. You need strobe lights to see it. Learned that, hey, guess what? People are better than Flufferbot, and he had to slow things down to actually produce. We learned nothing.
Although
it's all going to be perfect this time.
If you do look at some of the operations, such as say the battery cell deployment, that runs at high speed, that you need a strobe to see what's going on.
Yeah.
So there is some of that. You're right. They're not making the entire car. That's absolutely correct.
Right.
But you would also agree, Russell, that if they notice a process that they believe they can automate, taking a piece of it, trying to make it better, that's the way to do it. That is to divide and conquer.
I don't disagree with that. But I think the whole philosophical approach of Tesla is what screws them up, is that they don't learn from the past. They keep wanting to innovate
too much that they can't chew.
Yeah. And so once again, is Model Y going to encounter the same ramp up problems, the same production hell, just because we refuse to do what somebody else did? Because then it's not first principles.
Well, it certainly could. I wouldn't put it by them that will happen.
Yeah.
But and the other thing is that it most likely will be at a different location compared to Fremont, right? It's going to be at Gigafactory 1 in Nevada, most likely. Right. And is that a new group of people completely? Obviously, they're used to doing drivetrains and batteries. But will they have learned some of the lessons from the Model 3? God, I hope so. Just something.
Hopefully they'll transplant some of the experts. Hopefully not all the experts.
Yeah, not all of them, because they can't all leave. Yeah,
right.
But there should be some takeover or some passover of information, I would think, based on the similarity between the 3 and the X, with 70% or 75% of the parts used in both.
Yeah, assuming the same people are around, the people who lived through the struggles of ramping up the Model 3 should hand off to, they ramp it up, they hand it off to people to sustain and improve, and then they go over to Model Y and they ramp up the Model Y using all the experience they've gained with the Model 3. I mean, that's the smart way to do it. Now, I'm not going to say that's how they're going to do it, But in my opinion, that would be the smart way.
I just want to say what a pleasure it is to do a show with such shining optimism.
So the next one,
I'm serious. Like, it's okay.
the next question is Gigafactory 3 going to be more manual than automated?
Stop with that.
Because, you know, in China, they have stuff they can automate, but they just throw people at it.
Yeah, because it's cheap.
Right.
Yeah.
So will they do the same thing here?
It could be a whole new ball game in China. Absolutely, it could be completely different.
I'm gonna wait until that factory's actually
Let's get a wall
in reality before I worry about the
going.
aliens working
get a wall.
inside. Yeah,
They've got a cardboard wall and a bunch of tents already.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
keep in mind, groups like Foxconn and others in China, they are highly automated. They want that to happen as well. They're starting to see the benefits or cost savings of robots over people too.
That's true, because China is outsourcing to Africa now.
Yeah, and we're not going there at all.
That's a good point.
Probably not going to have people moving in the dark so fast you need strobe lights.
We don't know. We don't know. Next, to the neighbor to the south.
Ooh, hola!
Mexico has received its first batch of Model 3s and had a launch ceremony in Mexico City at one of the Tesla stores that were still open. So
They get the Chinese wheels on that thing.
and this was done just last week in the midst of all the store closings. Tesla Mexico received a few cars. They sent out invitations. We saw a number of people on our Twitter feed indicate that they have gotten something to go to Mexico City to see the unveiling of the 3. And it's good to see. Well, it's kind of perplexing as to why it's taken this long since Mexico had cars previously. I would have thought it would have been the third country in line, even based on its geography as to how close it was to Fremont.
You'd think the shipping fees would be lower.
Yeah. So that's kind of surprising that Europe and China received them first. Mexico's probably not a high volume country, but hell, just a few would have made sense. It's so close.
They were trying to maximize, one, the tariffs in China, and two, the incentives that were expiring in Europe.
True. So maybe it was those trumped what Mexico would bring to the table. Although, again, I don't think there would be a lot going to Mexico, but it certainly makes sense that they're on board now.
Well, the last time,
didn't Elon tweet out that they're gonna sell cars in Mexico and make Canada pay for them? Was that something, or did I think
that was somebody else? Yeah,
I either heard that or made that up. It's one of those two.
Well, at least you've got it narrowed down.
Yeah, that solves that issue.
Exactly. Yes. No, that threw me. We're paying for Mexico's cars. Okay, interesting.
Right.
How's that southern wall coming, Mark? I want to get a head start on that.
Yeah, get going. Get going. Absolutely.
Keep us riff-raff out.
Recently, of course, the Model Y, which has been in the news quite a bit, was the invites were sent out, and in those invites, a new image appeared electronically. And of course, as soon as a new image of the Model Y appeared, we had a bunch of Photoshop editors and such grab that dark image and try to lighten it up to see if they could see anything in the front nose area of the car that was typically covered up in blackness. And they were able to come up with a message.
Anything for a
message?
A message, a
From
secret
aliens?
message.
Yes.
A secret message from
Alien Dreadnought.
And they zoomed in on it, and you can see it's kind of pixelated, but it says "nice try." So we've got some jokesters at Tesla that are putting in even Easter eggs inside of the advertisements of the future cars.
That, to me, that's hilarious.
So the zoom in and lightening up certainly worked to display the message that Tesla wanted you to see, which was "nice try," but you're not going to see anything more here.
Can you imagine being the first person to see that? It's like, oh, let's see what. What?
Yeah.
So that was good to see that they haven't lost their sense of humor. We've got, what do we got next here? Yes. We've got.
Oh yeah, this is a good one.
We've got car carriers. Tesla had announced this quite some time ago in the midst of the startup of the Model 3 that they were short on car carriers delivering the Model 3s to market. And Elon had mentioned that he was going to consider building some of his own trailers or buying a company to speed up or prioritize what that company would deliver and when they would deliver. And it turned out that this week that Tesla has actually, they haven't bought a complete truck and trailer company, but they bought the interests, or I guess it's some of the stock of that company, a lot of the actual assets, the trucks and trailers, and will be able to dictate when that carrier will move cars based on their needs and their needs alone.
Hostile takeover.
Yeah, so they haven't bought the whole company, but it indicated that they own the assets in some way, that they can direct what the company does with those assets, with those car carriers and rigs that are moving things around.
Yay! How does this square with the September of last year news flash from Elon, who said that they were buying car carriers, not companies, but the trailers, and they were making them because they couldn't get them fast enough. So did they not make any? Did they not make
it appears that none were made.
Yeah.
It appears
they
that
did buy
way.
companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm inclined to believe that Elon in his jet was listening to the show and said, wait a minute, they have a good point there. And he realized.
I don't get the purpose of this announcement.
I think it's just that it's finally finalized, and so it hit the news again.
Look, I did what I said.
Well, I mean, because obviously they locked it up and got their transport, but it looks like now that the deal is finalizing that it's hit the news again.
Okay.
It's another day. It's another drop of news.
Smells like bullshit to me. That's all I got.
And on to the next story. Here's one. Here's one. Last week we announced that based on the Tesla release, that they were going to be closing the vast majority of their stores.
Wait,
well, that is wrong? What they said.
Yep.
No, they said that. Let's be clear.
They said that.
We didn't misinterpret anything.
Started that.
This is what they said.
Yeah,
they were going to close the vast majority of their stores and keep a few of them open in high traffic areas or areas that they required information centers.
With a stated reason that because 82% of their sales,
78,
or
they said 82 somewhere. And
yeah, thank you. I was going to say they use both numbers, 78. Let's call it 78.
So let's call it 80. It's right in the middle.
Yeah, because 78% of their sales are online, so they don't need those stores.
Right. So
what changed?
Well, apparently you shouldn't throw away 20% of your sales anyways. Like
really?
If you're getting 80% in one fashion, what about the other 20%, which is really needed still? Yeah. So, but what has happened is that there's been a number of different emails shot around. People that work in the stores that were found the stores were closed, that they were going to be laid off or removed from the store. It's now changed a number of different places, and a number of stores are going to reopen if they've closed or not closed if they haven't closed. So Tesla put a freeze this week on store closings so they could reevaluate what stores should stay open and what stores should close.
How horrible. Okay, so we're going to leave your store open, but we're going to continue evaluating you, and you might or might not still have a job in a few months.
Better do a good job or else.
Evaluation of you.
Now, Tony, you're reading between the lines.
No, that's like literally what it said. I mean,
it is a crazy situation, to say the least.
I can assure you, this is the situation in which you find your employees updating their LinkedIn accounts.
Yeah. Can you imagine being at one of the
At
stores
work.
that didn't stay closed? Because there were a few that stayed closed,
Mm-hmm.
and you've already started your process, and then they're like, "Hey, we're gonna need you to come in on Saturday."
Yeah. If you
Oh, and by the way, we cut your pay by 50%, but come on in because the mission's important.
Well, your base pay is the same, but you don't get a bonus anymore. Oh, but they did supposedly start restoring some of the bonuses as well.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
So,
This is what happens when you're a company that rules by imperial edict. Somebody gets pissy. Maybe it's Elon, maybe it's somebody in upper management, and they do something. And then like 3 days later, somebody goes, what the hell did we just do? Are we nuts? We just closed all of our stores. We have $1 billion in outstanding leases. How can we, that doesn't even work.
yeah, because it was interesting. That's a number of the property owners at these different malls and such were in total shock themselves that they had not received any notices. They had read the news that evening like everybody else and said, hold on, Tesla's in all my malls. They can't leave. They've signed 10-year leases. And they are by law owing another 9 years on those leases in some cases. In some cases, property owners were saying that they were negotiating with Tesla just in February on new stores. So this was a roundabout turn that nobody really understood why it was happening, when it was happening, and who it was going to affect. And this kind of really dovetails into Russell's story that we'll push up next, which is a story done by Jalopnik.
I have a story?
Yeah.
So is Elon one of those execs that takes the blame, or is that where we see is that the ones where we see the company take the blame? But I haven't pass it on to employees.
I would have to say that this is an Elon problem.
I think Elon taking the blame is about as easy as Elon deleting the tweets.
He doesn't delete tweets either very often.
Yeah, it's
not
not
like 4 in the year.
Not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen. I'm sorry. Quick, find Elon apologizing for anything anywhere.
There is, the only thing where he said humans are underrated after it was proved that he couldn't fully automate. That's the only thing I can think of.
This is a big issue, and one of the reasons why my concern about Tesla has been what it is, because you see these sort of reactionary changes that they just do things. They walk away from agreements. We saw this last year with solar. Just literally 3 months after deploying all new collateral, spending a ton of money, re-upping the agreement with Home Depot. 3 months later, they walked out of it. And what was going to happen? Well, everybody started looking at the next shiny thing, and so today we have solar sales that are about 25% of what they were a year ago.
They need a Glenn Shotwell over there. Not the Glenn Shotwell, but they need one like her.
No, they need other things, but
that would help.
Again, I'm kind of resistant to the single human can save us, the messianic approach.
Oh, I mean, I'm not saying particular person, but they need somebody whose job it is to look at these things and tie the strings together and be like, hey, that's not going to work. We've got $1 billion outstanding in leases.
And that, that might work at some companies where the CEO doesn't just tweet shit as he thinks about it.
Yeah.
How does she handle it? I mean,
so ignoring SpaceX for a second, which is an entirely different thing. As a manufacturer and a retailer, you need a group of executive managers that are informed, intelligent, that are strong, that can stand up for their division when there's things like this.
Yeah.
You need that. It's not necessarily just one even-tempered executive at the top. You need a strong structure. And the problem with what Elon has done at Tesla is he's built a structure that serves him.
Yeah.
Yeah, several times he's tweeted something, and I've gone either to a retail location or called on the phone, and they're like, "We don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "Read his freaking tweets," and they're like, "I've been busy."
Right. Right.
No, but I agree, Russell. I think he's removed people from the equation that could stand up,
Yes.
or did in the past, and now he's just eliminate those positions, and everything
Or
just
they
goes
leave,
to him
and
direct.
he doesn't refill them. Yeah.
True.
Mhm.
Yeah. So back to this thing. We generally, I'm not a huge Jalopnik fan, but cheers to Aaron Gordon for a very well done story, talking about talking to Tesla employees at sales centers, talking about this retail closure thing. And again, there's a lot of things that just didn't make sense. So the idea that they walked this back is pretty, it's actually reasonable, and it gives me a little bit of hope, that they were able to walk it back. It shouldn't have taken them a week. And it actually, and again, in a healthy functioning company, this would have been a thing where Elon goes to the board or goes to the executive staff and says, we need to save money. I'm going to kill the retail division. Will that work?
Yeah,
And then
that's
I'm
it.
serious, but I mean, those kind of conversations in the executive boardroom are what you have.
Yeah.
Right?
But hear me out on this. I'm going to lower the prices of all the products.
I'm
At the same time.
Right. And then I'm going to raise them. But yeah, okay. All I'm saying is that in a healthy company, that's what happens. And people come back and they do their math and they go, okay, here's what'll happen. Here are the options. Here's how we can do this. And then before the Messiah takes to Twitter, they've arrived at a corporate consensus that makes sense.
Makes sense amongst many people.
Well, amongst more than one.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then Twitter doesn't even get involved. Then it is an announcement from the company.
Yeah.
Where's the fun in that?
It's like you're saying that Twitter has the ulterior motive of shutting down the company.
Think
That
of,
Twitter doesn't even get involved. Yes.
yeah, but I mean,
They just stay quiet like they should.
think of how much money Twitter has made off Elon Musk.
Oh,
alone.
I am sure that they've pushed themselves further and further into relevance with every tweet that Elon sends out. More and more people are following it.
Right.
That's all I got. It's a great article. You should definitely go read it if you are interested. There will certainly be a link in the show notes at Jalopnik. It's a great story. There's a lot of other sort of more subtle arguments that we probably aren't going to get into here just because of time. But the whole thing of, was this just a ploy to depress employee wages? Which it sort of seems like, or
At
I
least
guess
it had
that
that
was,
effect.
yeah, at least that it had that effect. So there's a lot of other things, but again, looking at the lesson that Tesla might have learned from solar last year was that when you kill your retail presence, you cut your sales.
Yeah, and that's not what they need at all. Like it's crazy. Like I understand if that's the only thing you can do, that would be the last thing you would do. Like
Yes.
it would be the absolute last thing would be to toy with sales. You definitely want the sales to continue. You may lower the number of people that are in a store. You may change hours. There are many things that they could have pushed back on to save some money. But man, having to pay for a shuttered store for 9 years and make zero money at that store over those 9 years?
Yeah. Or maybe you settle it for half the lease term, right? Maybe you settle it for half the lease term. So, you've only got $500 million outstanding for stores that you don't even have.
Yeah.
The thing that, and then the stock, just doesn't, nobody cares. That's the thing that blows me away. Like these seismic kind of decisions come down with like lightning out of a clear blue sky, and stock's been piddling around 288, 290, 280.
What about three for a minute?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Casey.
Oh no, he's saying it's been relatively unchanged. It went above 3 for a minute, but came right back down to this 280.
And there's stories about different investment groups that have dropped the stock because they're saying, hold on, retail was part of your pillar of sales, and now you're just cutting it overnight. It sounds like someone doesn't know what they're doing, and a number of them have left the space.
That's
Yeah.
innovation, Mark. That's innovation.
It's if it is, it's scary.
Yeah, it is. Very
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. So before we move on, I want to give a rundown on
Oh, no.
current show titles.
Oh.
All right. So let's see. I got a shout out for the Not a Bulletproof Vest on that one.
That is a good one.
There is let's see, I gotta find this here. Policeman falls asleep with autopilot. Let's see, where was it? Where was it? There was oh geez, Hockey Day with Too Close or Not to Close. Hockey Day coming back with Too Much Weed at Tesla, and then Dazed and Confused.
Dazed and confused.
The Elon Court of Fools. And keep them coming.
Yeah,
you know-
keep them coming. If you're watching the show now, please press that subscribe button.
Yeah,
give us
yeah.
another viewer. We would really appreciate it. If you want to follow us through the week and see what's going on, you can follow us at our Twitter feed at The Tesla Life, and also on our Facebook feed,
Oh,
The
we got
Tesla Life #1.
Yeah, we got a new show title. Hawks lead the Leafs 4-0 after 1.
That's not a show title. After you click
It
that
could
subscribe
be.
button, ring that
Not
bell.
a
so
show
you'll be notified.
title.
Says the man in the Hawks sweater. Yes.
Hawks.
After you click that subscribe button, ring that bell so you'll be notified of all of our shows,
Yep.
especially special events like tomorrow night's.
Yes,
Model
tomorrow
Y
night.
live
Make
stream.
sure that you're subscribed and notified. Because also it was David, or it was Derek, I think, who said he's flying out. He's going to be there.
Wow.
Which is awesome.
very good.
Yeah, right here, David. He's flying out, so that is really cool.
Send us a couple pictures via tweet, David. We would love to see them while you're
Yeah.
on site.
Yeah, and if we get them during the show, we'll put them on during the show.
Yeah, we'll just slot them in right
Post them.
here.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Next, we ran a little Twitter poll to find out what
Uh-oh.
the viewing audience thought of. And no,
Oh,
that
They
wasn't
did
it.
not want to see the results.
No,
thank God.
we knew the answer there already.
Yeah.
But we asked, and thanks to Patrick Connor for suggesting this poll, but we asked, what will you believe would be the one last thing that will be announced during the Model Y event, as there have been a couple times where a second item has been added to a main event. And the overwhelming majority, well, not quite overwhelming, but 35% of people think that something will be mentioned about the Model S or X remodel that is presumed to be coming at some point. We've got second place, something else or nothing at all. And we've got a self-driving demo coming in third place. And finally, some sort of information about the pickup or second-gen Roadster was the bottom selection.
There's
So
going to be something. I don't know what, but there's going to be something.
there's going to be something.
Why should it just be nothing? He'll just leave the stage.
Could that could be it?
Just drop the mic and walk off.
Mic drop.
Drop the mic.
Mhm.
He's trying to save dollars.
It's usually pinned to
$3
his
a mic
lapel anyway, so
Yeah.
he doesn't. He's not
Right.
carrying a mic, or he
Yeah,
hasn't been in
right.
the past.
We might see a smart summon demo or nothing, or maybe the Model S will finally get door pockets. I don't
No,
know.
it won't.
He's right. He's been adamant about no remodel, so I have a feeling that we'll have to crater the sales on the on the second platform.
That could be, again, if you're going to throw away 20% of your sales and then say, oh, and by the way, let's Osborne affect the Model S and X. Yeah, that might be another serious issue if that was to happen.
Ain't gonna happen. Well, wait.
Yeah.
Actually, it could happen.
It depends on what Grimes does to him tonight.
So Derek has a truly shocking thing in the chat, and this would be amazing if this actually happened. He says, for the first time, the show will start on time.
That's happened once, maybe twice.
I still be willing to bet it's not going to start on time.
And everybody laughs. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, but
Doesn't seem to
I
be
liked it when he was 5 minutes late that one time. That was
That was
was good.
close.
Yeah.
That was close. Yeah.
It'd be like the Blues Brothers where everyone's beating the streets. We want the show.
Well, I don't understand how we can start he can start the stockholder calls on time almost every time, but yet he's only started an event once,
What's
maybe
the
twice on time.
difference there, I wonder.
Regulators. But he also interviews with the press and does all this stuff before the event instead of after. That can't help.
Whose
'Cause you know how they are.
convenience is that for,
One more
I
question.
wonder?
One more question.
What he needs is a warm-up band.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
That's what they need is a warm-up band. Yes.
great.
Well, just so
Wrap it up,
everyone
Box, in
is
the press room.
aware, tomorrow, if you're watching tonight, be back tomorrow at, what are we going to start this off at? Quarter to?
7:45.
Yeah, 7:45 Pacific time. And we'll be kicking off the live stream. We'll show the live stream or listen to the live stream and comment on what's going on and what's happening. So we'll start 15 minutes before the hour, and you can all join us then and participate like you have been tonight. Anyone that gets into our YouTube feed, you can join the chat room and you can talk back and forth with the other people watching the show, with panelists, sending notes back and forth. As you heard, we got different show titles being suggested that we certainly take from that area and post a show title. So please join us tomorrow. It's going to be fun, and we'll all have a great time seeing what type of train wreck it will be, or if it's going to be a fantastic show. So we will see.
Folks are wondering if there are going to be any lines tomorrow. I don't think so.
I know.
Seeing as how some of the stores did close.
Some closed and some reopened.
Some came back from
So
zombie
people may be
stores.
lining up at stores that are closed. They may be
Right.
lining up at
Those-
stores.
They're going to be lining up to order on their phone.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I have
Could happen
no
a little
idea what's going to happen.
Yeah. So
Because
as you,
because wasn't that fantastic news for Tesla? Like when the 3 came out with the lines like the Apple Store,
Around the block.
that made every newscast that there was,
Yeah.
and that was fantastic publicity for Tesla. Why they would pull the plug just before this unveil? A missed opportunity. Missed
So,
opportunity.
I wonder if they'll even do any pre-orders. Probably so. Just get that extra cash. in the
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, they've got to.
Yeah.
Yes. This is a deposit collection event. Let's be clear.
account. He's passing
Okay.
the plate.
Yeah. I think the question is going to be how much and what percentage of it's going to be refundable.
1,000 and nothing.
Oh, interesting. So
So you think there'll be no
a grand,
no
but not
refund?
refundable.
I think they will not do that.
Well, it's
don't
going to be
think
one of
they
them like you got to wait 45 days to get your check back deal.
Well, it's that way anyway.
refundable,
Yeah.
right.
Right, yeah.
It's refundable.
Yeah.
It's definitely
It's going to go to general funds
well,
like it has been the last 3 times.
I would think that would be another mistake if they said it's not refundable.
Yeah, they've been headed in that direction. It wouldn't surprise me if we're going to see. So, I mean, here's some. Well, tune in tomorrow to find out.
Yeah.
If we see like a $2,500 deposit, of which a portion is refundable, because of the short delivery timeline.
Yeah, this is your order fee. So if you do it before it goes into the factory, you can get a portion back. If you wait too long, we've already built a car and picked a color. It's on you.
Well, and allegedly these are going to be delivered this year.
Probably 100 of them, just like last time.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying. I'm just
token.
The last
alleged.
couple times.
I'm sure that will be the thing, is that we're going to deliver this calendar year.
That'll probably be the one more thing. And you can have it for Christmas.
Right. If you buy a signature version, yeah.
Well, there was no signature in the
signature
3,
again.
so
Yeah.
we'll have to see all these questions to be answered and more
Tomorrow night, right here.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Exactly. 8 p.m. Pacific. So
Do I seem excited?
We'll see you back.
Yeah.
Oh,
That'll be 11 Eastern.
Yeah.
And
Sorry about
we're
that.
we're -4 here Eastern, so you can do the math on UTC there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David in the chat said, yeah,
3.
never shows mercy for the East Coast.
No.
No. Mm-mm.
It surprises me. I said that to Mark the other day. Like you would think, but man, 8 o'clock Pacific, that's prime time. So
Yeah. So, Casey, did you just say it's 3 a.m.?
No,
Zulu
I
time?
thought that's what David was saying, but he was talking about the Model 3. So let's see.
Okay. So,
11 plus 4 is that won't work.
the Model 3 was really long. Yeah. Well, it's allegedly started 8 o'clock. I'm going to guess that it'll be an hour long,
So
maybe less.
2 a.m.
3?
Zulu, 2 or 3?
2:45.
What?
Like we'll start at 2:45
UTC.
Friday morning. Yeah, Friday morning Zulu.
Make sure I'm
Oh,
doing that right.
Zulu.
Zulu.
Would you stop confusing people?
time zones?
We have an international audience.
I understand that.
That's 12:30 in Newfoundland, people. So,
Yes.
exactly.
And who knows what the temperature is in centigrade.
So, for our last story of the evening, there was a report just today about from Electric. They were talking a little bit about the deliveries in Europe, and they had indicated that the Model 3 has quickly become the EV king in all of Europe, surpassing all the different models available through the different countries of Europe. The car, even in delivered in its small amounts, we're looking at probably somewhere in the area of 3,000 or so vehicles delivered. It certainly blew the doors off of all the other competition EVs that are in the market. We're hoping for bigger things. We're hoping that it will become the car of choice for Europe, whether they're EV or not. That's what we're hoping for, as we've seen the numbers grow in North America, starting to inch on to those different lists. So we're hoping for more of that in Europe. But good to see it's on its way. Adoption is great among EV buyers. So good to see that in the report today.
This is not just a wake-up call for European car manufacturers. This is Angela Merkel standing at the side of their bed screaming at them. That's the kind of wake-up call this is. And we had a report, was it last year, that Angela Merkel was pissed off at Volkswagen for Dieselgate and the other manufacturers for falling behind and losing market share.
So will they accept Gigafactory 4 with open arms, or will they still consider that to be American and fight it off with a stick?
Yeah. Someone somewhere in Europe will take it in.
Yeah.
Yep.
One last thing.
All right. One last thing. Did I hear one last thing?
I did.
There is one last thing.
Yay!
There is one last thing, and it is for all the Northerners out there that are waiting for their X.
Uh-oh.
All my exes.
It is now available. But it has no heat seat warmers in this particular car.
And that's a good thing.
Also, one of the doors is clipped.
Well, what can you do? This is Alaska, a nice sculpture, which was fantastic, of a Model X, and you can see the extra supports to keep the doors open.
Passenger side door not included.
Yeah, and it looks like the passenger side Falcon wing door snapped off, but the driver's side still looks in good shape, and I'm sure you could pick it up for less than 120,000. So
guaranteed.
Fantastic job. I don't know how many hours that would have taken.
Oh my God, Lee Moon with the win.
Oh, it's new show title.
Model X drops EV for ICE.
That works.
Very good.
I like
That's
the one
gonna
about the
confuse some
zombie
people.
stores that won't stay dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
The zombie stores. Nice.
Exactly.
Nice.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for this evening. Shoutouts, Mr. Green. What can you tell us about? Where can we go to maybe see some other videos that you produce?
So youtube.com/Casey Green. I've got a couple more videos up since we last spoke, and some of them were pretty fun. We got a 360 view of a Model 3 Performance in track mode, hooning it up in the parking lot with a light coating of water, and club meets and supercharger reviews as usual.
I will comment on your club meet that I watched today. It was real interesting of the gentleman that bought the silver Model 3, and he told us his story, why he bought it, what he's done with it, and it was very interesting viewing.
Thank you. Yeah, they did South Carolina to California and back in less than a week.
Yikes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of traveling. Tony, any shout outs from you tonight?
Shout outs as usual to every single person who's been hanging out with us in the chat room. Thank you guys. Thank you all. Enjoy doing the show. Enjoy knowing that you're willing to give up an hour of your time. And if you're free for the rest of the evening, consider coming back for What Drives Us. And if you're new to the Tesla Life and you don't know that we all get together and do another show in a little less than an hour now, check out youtube.com/whatdrivesus. We'll be doing a show, like I said, at the top of the next hour.
That's not just Tesla.
Right.
Very good.
Yes.
Right.
Not just
Actually, this week it probably is.
Oh,
Mr. Frost, what can you tell us?
Mr. Coughlin, with scores a point on me, just as I was about to say goodbye with some dignity left. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. Thanks to everybody for watching. And thanks to Elon for keeping it interesting.
Yep.
that he does.
That is absolutely true. Well, everyone, join us tomorrow night and next week and
Yes.
in an hour.
Tomorrow
Yes.
Do the
night.
trifecta. Do
The
the
important
trifecta.
thing, but dude, tomorrow night, 7:45 p.m. If you're not already signed up, be signed up so that you get the reminder. And then all you have to do is click a link. It's so easy.
Yep.
It's definitely we're going to be in rare form. I'm going to start
Help us.
drinking it
Help
at
us
like
out.
noon.
Give us another click and a like, and that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So we will see everybody shortly
Tell
and
your
find
friends.
out what's going on in the Tesla life.
Uh-oh.
As we roll out to Lee Moon's music. Thanks,
Thank
Lee.
you, Lee Moon.
Good night, everybody.